Okay. Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Niti Namane. We'll be reading today from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya Leela Chapter 9 Verse 278. If we have phones, we can look on the Veda base. So it says, Ei mat tandra ghare garva churnakari Falgu tirthe tabe chali aila gorahari. Translation. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke the pride of the Tattvavadis to pieces. He then went to the holy place known as Falgu Tirtha. Verse number 279. Tritakupe Vishalara Darshan Panchapsara Tirthe Aila Sachira Nandan. Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, next went to Tritakupa, and after seeing the Vishala deity there, he went to the holy place known as Panchapsara Tirtha. Purport. The Apsaras, denizens of the heavenly planets, are generally known as dancing girls. The girls in the heavenly planets are exquisitely beautiful. And if a woman on earth is found to be very beautiful, she is compared to the Apsaras. There were 5 Apsaras named Lata, Budbuda, Samichi, Saurabhei, and Varna. It is said that these 5 beautiful dancing girls were sent by Indra to break the severe austerity of a saintly person called Achyuta Rishi. This action was typical of Indra, the king of heaven. Whenever Indra discovered someone undergoing severe austerities, he would begin to fear for his post. Indra was always anxious about his position, fearing that if someone became more powerful than he was, he would lose his elevated position. Thus, as soon as he would see a saint undergoing severe austerities, he would send dancing girls to distract him. Even the great saint Vishwamitra Muni fell victim to his plan. When the 5 Apsaras went to break Achyuta Rishi's meditation, they were all chastised and cursed by the saint. As a result, the girls turned into crocodiles in a lake that came to be known as Panchapsara. Lord Ramchandra also visited this place. From Sri Narad Muni's narration, it is understood that when Arjun went to visit the holy places, he learned about the condemnation of the 5 Apsaras. He delivered them from their abominable condition, and from that day the lake known as Panchapsara became a place of pilgrimage. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yat Kripaha Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dina Tarinam. I seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees in person and online, so that I may be able to share something what I have heard. So in this verse, it's a recurring story in regards to Indra, that whenever he sees someone getting more famous, more powerful than him, he will start making arrangements for that person to fall down. And the most common way he would do that is by sending the Apsaras. So that's the nature of this world. And if we are under the modes of material nature, because there is a lot of things associated to the position, lot of respect, lot of responsibility. And if we are not careful in order to defend our position, we'll start manipulating things around. But a devotee who takes some position, he accepts that position as a service. It's not for him to impress anyone. It's for him to please the Lord. There is a story. One of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to come back. He was thinking that, Prabhupada wanted him to be the temple president, but he did not want to take that position. He knew the challenges and what all it takes to be a temple president. So Srila Prabhupada, he called him to meet him next morning. So he started preparing. So he started preparing notes in the night. So tomorrow, when Srila Prabhupada will ask me to be the temple president, I will start giving all these arguments. My health is not good. I have to do this. I have to do that. That's not my nature. So he prepared the whole list of why he doesn't want to be the temple president. And next morning, when Srila Prabhupada called him, I think Prabhupada gave him the instruction. He came in front of Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada told him, I want you to go to some country and preach. Some country which is where it is very difficult to preach. So he was not prepared for that. So he told Prabhupada, sorry Prabhupada, I cannot do that. Give me any other service, I will do it. And then Srila Prabhupada, he said, be the temple president. So that's how Srila Prabhupada did the transcendental trick to engage someone in service. So any devotee who takes any form of position, including me, we have to be very, very careful that we don't start identifying ourselves with the position. We must always remember that we are just the servant of the Lord. And if the spiritual master asks us to live in a palace, we'll go live in a palace. And if the spiritual master asks us to go live under a tree, we should be ready to go and live under a tree. We should not be scared. Like our spiritual masters will not give us instruction which they know at what level we are. All glories to the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and for us, so many of the senior disciples of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. They took the orders of the spiritual master as their heart and soul. And if by mistake, even if something happens, we may do a mistake, eventually we will be corrected if we are executing that through the blessings of the superiors. Another theme which was coming to my mind while I was preparing for the class is the theme of home. Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was traveling through South India and so many places of pilgrimage. And eventually, he was now returning to Jagannath Puri. Few verses or at the end of this chapter, Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be in Jagannath Puri. When he was small, he lived in Nadia. That was his home. But after he took sannyas, he moved to Jagannath Puri at the request of Mother Sachi, so that she could keep hearing about her son. So the Lord abided and he decided to make Shri Kshetra Dham, Jagannath Puri, as his home, as his place of residence. And so many times we hear that Srila Prabhupada in his purports and in so many lectures would say, going back home, back to Godhead. So home is there. We also hear so many times that Vrindavan was the home of Srila Prabhupada. And his office was Bombay, Mumbai. At that time, Bombay. And his place of worship, Mayapur. So his home was in Vrindavan. And Srila Prabhupada, he left Vrindavan at the age of 70. He traveled on a ship, a cargo ship, for 30 days. And he should be arriving on September 17. Srila Prabhupada left his home, Vrindavan. He brought Vrindavan to America because he is a pure devotee and he carried Krishna in his heart. And Vrindavan is where Krishna is. So he brought Vrindavan to the West. And then, after several years of preaching, he took the West, the people from the West, the devotees from the West, to Vrindavan. So that's the power of Srila Prabhupada. And Dallas is the home of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Srila Gurudev, for him, Dallas was his home. And all the disciples who served him were his immediate, intimate family. During one of the offerings on Vyasa Puja day, Mother Jayanti, she was giving the offering. And she started by saying that you are my family. She was referring to all the devotees in Radha Kalachandji Dham. And she said, this is my home. And when that comes from a person who has served here almost for 5 decades, it means a lot. And it was not comfortable. It was not easy. But they persevered. And they continued to serve. And so many other devotees. But when she said, this is home, this has a special significance. Because, excuse me. Home means a place of comfort. Home means security. Home means the sense of belongingness. And when one feels that, then one commits himself or herself to serve. When we are preaching, there are two levels at which we can preach. We can preach to the mind, by giving all the philosophical arguments, in which we should. Whenever there is any deviation from the Siddhanta, we should preach and give the principles. And then there is preaching at the level of the heart. And preaching is not about, defeating the mind. We may present arguments and defeat someone. So preaching is not defeating the mind, but it's about winning the heart. So it's a journey. And Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, they used to give so much emphasis on taking care of devotees so that they feel home. So in our dealings, in our day-to-day exchanges, we should always deal with other people in such a way that they feel home. And that's what I experienced when I came to this community 2006, 19 years back. Welcomed, given so much care, taken care of from so many perspectives. So it's now my duty, or whosoever got it, to return the same and pass it on. So that's the significance of the word home. And in order to even better understand the meaning of home, we can meditate on the word refuge. In Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, so many times we will hear the word, you, O Lord, you are the refuge. You are the supreme refuge for so many of us to take shelter. And in order to understand the meaning of the word refuge, we need to understand the meaning of the word refugee. And who is a refugee? Mother Kunti. She's saying she's a refugee. Yes. We are refugee in this world because we have left our home and we have taken shelter of this world. So due to some political situations, due to some wars, sometimes people in living some area in some country, they have to leave that place which has been their home for generations. And then they have to go to another place to take shelter. So they are the refugees. And one of the biggest problem is, especially in today's world, there is a big debate going on that the refugees, they have nowhere else to go. And wherever they go, they are always considered as outsiders. So it's not the sense of belonging which they have. They are always in a constant fear. They are grateful for the shelter that is given. So that's a refugee. When we take darshan of the Lord, it is said that we should always keep our legs closed. Anyone knows why? We should not spread our legs and stand in front of the Lord. The right way of taking darshan or coming in front of the Lord is by keeping the back of our foot, our toes, next to each other. And the significance is that we are telling the Lord that I am bound and I have nowhere else to go. That's how we take shelter of the Lord. So home is a very, very special place. Srila Prabhupada, he built a house in which the whole world could live. We have Krishna house. We have our house where we are living. But, in order to make it a home, Srila Prabhupada is dependent on us. How we behave, how we act. If there is no love and trust in the house where we are living, we are just living there. That's not home. It's just a building. It might be comfortable, but it's not home. So love and trust makes home. There is another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam where somehow looks like I lost. Yeah. Here it is. Canto 2, chapter 8, verse number 6. Dhautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantha Swa Sharanam Yatha. A devotee of the Lord whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Traveling is a lot of fun when we plan, when we are going to distant places. But when we travel more and more and more, we realize it's not comfortable at all. And after a long journey, after a long travel, we're always looking forward to be back home. And similarly, the devotee of the Lord, he feels the same, because his home is at the lotus feet of the Lord. Purport. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in the preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madhai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. We might be having some inconveniences in the association of devotees, in the service of the Lord, but we must never leave the association of the devotees and the service to the devotees and the Lord. Whatever service is given to us, with our full heart, capacity, we should try to execute it. And when a devotee, he perseveres in such circumstances, it's like a test. And when the Lord sees that the devotee is persevering, he is tolerating, but he is not giving up that service, the Lord is pleased. Sometimes we may think, why the devotees of the Lord have to go through so many difficulties in life. It has several reasons, but the test is the testament of a devotee. This is an opportunity for the devotee to tell the Lord how committed I am in your service. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. Something else which we should be very careful for. When we serve anybody in this world, we have agenda. We want something in return. We want something out of that service. And when we come to Krishna consciousness, sometimes we bring that tendency along with us. That when we are serving, we may not say it, but certainly we might have expectations. And it's okay. In our stage, it's okay. But for the pure devotees, they do not have any self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the jnanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. So many devotees, so many disciples of Srila Gurudev, Srila Gurudev gave them instructions never to leave. And through all the ups and downs, through all the challenges, through all the difficulties, they have been very, very chaste followers of Srila Gurudev. We might not see them very often, but it has been their home for several years. And they never left the service, no matter how hard it was. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityanand Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord, or from the Lord Himself. So till the time we don't, Lord guides us definitely from within. But we might not be that pure enough that the Lord would instruct us directly. But He instructs us through His devotees. And Srila Prabhupada used to say that the temple president is the representative of the Lord, of the deities. So to our best capacity, we should try to serve and assist the temple president. Especially if we have, we had Nityanand Prabhu earlier, who was so exemplary. And we have Narsingharupa Prabhu now, who is so exemplary. We are very fortunate to have such devotees, and in order for us to understand how we can please the Lord, the general instruction is we'll follow the authorities, the superior authorities. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler, again coming back to our theme, home. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest, and sometimes on the ocean, and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places. But all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered. And as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. So Preeti, being attached to the devotees and the Lord is very, very important as well. In the Bible it is also said, we should not make our home in this world. Why? Because it is a bridge, and the bridge is meant to cross over. And the nature of this world is, it's impermanent. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And the three types of homes, I could think of. One, the virtual home. And we live in the digital age. I don't know how many of you, or me, including me, we, as soon as we wake up first, how many of us, we lift our cell phone first? Yes, that is good. It's time to wake up. So if you set an alarm, it's good. But some of us, including me, sometimes I start, because of my job and certain other habits, start checking WhatsApp and something here and there, and so it's a conditioning. So that kinds of, whenever we are a little distressed, we don't know what to do, we don't go and lift our bead bag. We go and lift our phone. What is happening in the world? What is going on? So that's kind of taking shelter, and that's like the virtual home. We try to connect. No, it's an important tool. I'm not saying we should not use cell phones. We can use cell phones, but we should not allow cell phone use us. That's something very important. Then there is the physical home. It is said a house is made by a brick and mortar, but home is made by the people who live there. And as I was saying, it's as much as the people, those who are living there, they have love and trust, that place actually becomes home. And the relationships are so important between the members, those who are living at home. For a child, wherever there is mother, that is home. For a husband and wife, wherever there is the spouse, that is home. And it's very, very important to have nice relationships with the family members. Generally, the world will, we are like books, and the world will judge us by the cover of the book. They will just see our externals. But our family members, being family members, we should try to not judge each other by the books, but we should try to understand each other. Most of the misunderstandings happen when we try to judge even the family members by their externals. We don't know what they are struggling through, what they are going through. So if we have faith, if we have trust, if we have love, we can have nice home. And then, there is the spiritual home, back to Godhead. In one of the purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, our real home is in the kingdom of God. Despite our tenacious determination to remain in our material home, death will rudely eject us from the theater of material affairs. To stay at home is not bad, nor it is bad to devote ourselves to our loved ones. But we must understand that our real home is eternal in the spiritual kingdom. So we should take this purport very maturely. Not that we stop dealing with our family members very immaturely, become detached. The purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they are like the medicine. And an expert doctor, he knows how much dose and which medicine needs to be given. So that's why, if you just take the purports on their face value, we may take out of context. We should have the guidance of some superior Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, some friends who can guide us to understand. A person who is newly married, we don't tell him that, the marriage life is like a deep well. It is also a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. But we give him the examples for him to deal with his wife or her husband in such a way that they can serve together and encourage. So how and what verse is applying to a particular person's life is very, very important. Wrong verse, wrong philosophy at the wrong place creates violence. So that is why we should be under the guidance of an expert doctor or a senior devotee. And then there is, in conclusion, I would like to end so that if there are any corrections you can give. During the Janmashtami festival, how many of us observed the painting, not the painting, but the decoration behind Srila Prabhupada on the Vyasasana? What was there? So Vasudev, he was carrying, there was Anantashesh, and Vasudev was carrying Krishna, and then he was crossing the river Yamuna. And thanks to Preeti Masi, Lalita Sakhi Mataji, they did such a nice decoration, and every year the decoration gets better and better and better. It's so amazing. They prepare and they put so much effort for that decoration. And I was meditating on that, Vasudev, he was in a situation which was impossible to come out of. He was shackled by iron chains. He was in the prison. There were security guards outside. There was a storm outside the prison. The river Jamuna was overflowing, much above his height. But Lord Krishna, he inspired Vasudev from within. And he lifted Krishna. That was, the main baby Krishna lifted by Vasudev. And as soon as he lifted Krishna, the shackles opened up. The gate opened up. The gatekeepers fell asleep. The storm, the heavy storm was going on. And Anantashesh appeared to protect Krishna and Vasudev. He was just behind them. Mother Yamuna, she gave a passage to Krishna and Vasudev to cross. And then he went to the house of Nanda Maharaj. Similarly, through our chanting, through our service, through our sadhana, under the guidance of spiritual master and other devotees, when we lift Krishna, then things are happening around. Then Krishna carries us through the storms of life. And so many obstacles might come. He helps us to overcome those obstacles. So it's very, very important to lift Krishna in our consciousness and act in such a way that every time we are acting in a way so that we can please Guru and Krishna. And that is our real home. We have to act in this world. We have to maintain the relationships. We have to do so many duties which we have to do. But our heart, our eternal shelter has to be the lotus feet of the Lord. And that would be our permanent home, back to Godhead. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. Any corrections? Mother Kunti. How is the question? You can share your heart. This is our home. And even if I did some mistake, I am okay to take a correction from my mother. So please go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll just read the text. How's that sound? All right. And send. Okay. All right. You made a very powerful, and first of all, thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you.
Very, very strong, focused, and purely in line with Siddhanta. Thank you. It's very, very refreshing. So you mentioned that we not identify with that service, okay? Now that was a very strong statement, that we all have services, but we not identify with that service. So did I understand that correctly?
If I said that, my intention was not to identify with the position.
Okay, let me go on.
Okay. But please go ahead.
Okay, and then I want to have your feedback. Okay, if so, here's my not very valuable comment. Both yes and no apply to your statement. Yes, in that we clearly understand that it is purely the mercy of Guru and Krishna we have the opportunity to serve this way. No, in that we must identify with something, and this is our eternal hope in life. So that's my humble submission here, is that we are going to identify one way or another. It's either Maya or Krishna. And you're right. To have the opportunity to be on an altar and have that position is very exalted. You are absolutely correct about that. And that we should not think, oh, just see how exalted I am. Just see how important I am. Just see, oh, what can they do without me? You know, that kind of thing. I mean, even Lord Brahma, he had the Brahma Vimohan Leela, but anyway, that's just, you know, a tiny little understanding, is that Lord Brahma had to be shown. And Indra, here's Indra, he's destroying Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the heart of the Lord. And he's going to like bring the clouds of devastation. So then Indra had to have his false ego handed to him on a platter. So that's kind of like, you know, we are going to identify, but with humility. You can identify, just like that prayer that you sing, and you know it because you've dressed the deities. You know, Gopi Bartu Padakamala or Dasana Dasana Das, that I'm an infinitesimal spiritual being, completely apart from this gross and subtle body. And only by your mercy have I had this chance, Gurudev. So, right? So, do you care to elaborate a little more?
Thank you so much for complimenting. I don't take it as a correction, but complimenting on what I said. Thank you for adding those additional points. You know, identifying just with the position is definitely needed so that we can execute that service that needs to be done because of that position. But at our level, there can be a tendency that we start getting attached to that position. So if the spiritual master or the authorities, they say that we should be able to willing to give up that position and serve position as well and do some other service. Service never ends. But that role which we are playing, it can, if we get attached to that, then our focus can become somehow holding to that position and not the service of the Lord and not the intention of pleasing the Lord. Prithu Maharaj, he was serving the Lord, and Indra got fearful again, and he started creating disturbances in the sacrifices being done by Prithu Maharaj. And Prithu Maharaj was right. He was serving the Lord by doing those sacrifices, taking care of his kingdom. And then Indra did not stop. Even though Prithu Maharaj was right, but the superiors, the authorities, they came, and I think Brahmaji or Krishna, who comes to Prithu Maharaj? Brahmaji. Brahmaji, he comes to Prithu Maharaj and he says, you please stop it. Let him execute. So even though externally the service was done by Indra, but internally the Lord was more pleased by Prithu Maharaj. So we should not give up our service, our position out of inconvenience. But if it pleases the Lord, if there is another service the Lord wants us to perform, we should be able to willing to even give up our particular service. Service never ends. We are eternal servant of the Lord. Lord is infinite and his services are innumerable as well. So our service continues, but the nature of service can change. And we should be okay with that. Thank you. Mother Kunti. Yes, Prabhuji. You want to say? Any other correction or feedback, please? Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Kalachan ji ki jai. Pancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् एतदर्पणमार्जनम् भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मसपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् एतदर्पणमार्जनम् भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् एतदर्पणमार्जनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् आनन्दाम्बुदीवर्धनम् प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् एतदर्पणमार्जनम्